Seth Painter here with the Panagora Pharma Customer Experience Chatcast. Panagora, known primarily for live events, chatting with all of your favorite pharma folks about all things CX. Joining us is Charlie Flax from Propeller Health. Say hi, Charlie.
How you doing?
Doing good. Tell us a little bit about Propeller.
Sure. So I started Propeller 14 years ago. Propeller is focused in digital healthcare, marketing and advertising, uh, mostly HCP, but we also do work with patient and direct-to-patient marketing as well.
And what is your role in the organization?
So founder and president, and I oversee daily operations as well as lead new business.
So all of it.
Lots of things. We're working on that.
Gotcha.
We're figuring that part out. We're smoothing it out. But yes.
So let's get started. In a broad sense, Charlie, what does CX mean to you?
I mean, CX is the focus of everything we do. I mean, if you're in marketing and advertising and you're not focused on your customer, then I'm not sure what you're doing, right? So ensuring that, this idea that the only touch point that a customer has with the brand is that moment in time that they're looking at a banner ad, looking at a journal ad, watching TV, is crazy, right? The touch points they have with you are from, again, if we're talking about a pharma brand, from the first ad they see, from the first rep they talk to, just the time they open the package. It is all one fluid experience. And if you're not thinking about it as a entire journey and making sure that you're making the most of that short or long touch point, then I think you're missing the boat.
So more specifically, then, how does that philosophy of CX layer onto what you guys do at Propeller?
Yeah, so customer experience is centered to what we do. Again, because every time we're working for brands, right? And our customer is the brand's customer, right? It's like we have to kind of think about it as we are not us working on just, if we focus on our customer being the person working for the brand, the marketer, the digital advertiser, we're missing the boat, right? We have to put ourselves in a position where we are being our client and we're communicating in their behalf and understanding that experience isn't an isolated instance. So customer experience, so a digital experience, a traditional experience, meaning maybe a rep experience, they're not isolated incidences. So they are part of this greater overall continuum. And especially in digital, we need to recognize that there's context around every time they interact with the brand. So to me, customer experience is really embracing that context, knowing they see your ad, they read their email, they're doing something else. They're somewhere else. You need to make it easy and seamless and something they want to engage in.
So building on that, how has the mindset of the customer, I guess in your case primarily HCP, how's that shifted over the last few years?
That's a great question. So it has shifted quite a bit because, again, I think we take context more into account. I think that's the biggest thing. And again, we use the words customer experience. I like to use the idea of customer centricity, right?
Okay.
Is what you're doing is every time you're building something to communicate to them, even when it's a push communication or a pull communication, meaning something they want to go grab themselves, you're putting yourself, in their shoes, right? You're recognizing what do they need? What do you need them to see versus what do they want to see? Both things are very valuable, but you need to make sure you're understanding their point of view, understanding their WIFM, understanding their non-WIFM, because non-WIFM is important too. There might not be a huge thing that's in it for them, but there also is a necessity where they need to gain that information for the good of patients, for the good of a brand.
WIFM?
Yeah, what's in it for me?
Ah, okay. So we
Yeah.
got a new
Sorry,
acronym. New buzzword floating around, but that actually makes a lot of sense. And I think more of the traditional model might be, if you build it, they will come, or if you put resources on a website, your customers will flock to them, whether it's patient, ACP, caregiver, what have you. Um, what's the philosophy with that nowadays?
Well, I mean, first of all, you asked a great question before about how's it changed over the last few years, and this idea of context and recognizing that people are living life outside of receiving your communications is huge.
They are?
Yeah, believe it or not, they are. And but that context has gotten greater, right, over the last few months with the pandemic and the changing behaviors. Um, Personally, I think these are behaviors that are not being completely shifted; they're just being accelerated, right? So this idea that we need to adapt how we communicate to our customers, HCPs or patients, um, that was there anyway. It's just being accelerated. And what it's highlighted for me is recognizing that, and I mentioned this before, but recognizing there needs to be a blend of push and pull. And to assume that just because we're going digital, that everything is worth a pull now, like it's like, oh my God, well, if we build this giant hub, now we've solved all our pandemic issues and we don't need sales representatives and we don't need, and that's not true. It's just recognizing that, like any relationship, right? Like any relationship, you give sometimes and you take sometimes. And that's every healthy relationship. And we want to build digitally a very healthy relationship between the brand and the customer. And recognizing that if you have something that is worth a pull, make it a pull. If you have something that they need, right? It sounds like a relationship that they know they need, but they don't really have the urge to get it themselves. Make it a push. And that's really informed our digital philosophies, especially during this next normal.
But what if they don't know that they need it?
Well, that's why you push.
So
That's
thinking about
exactly why you push.
in terms of that, we'd be pushing quite a bit on because they need everything that we create, and we need
Oh, of
everything
course. Everything is so important.
that we present to them in the digital space. So when you think about that, Charlie, what are some of the underlying philosophies or techniques that you feel can improve customer experience? And don't give away the secret sauce,
Yeah,
your proprietary secrets, but there has to be some underlying themes that you could share that might make this process a little bit more improved, or at least a little more fluid.
totally. It starts with core marketing, right? It starts with fundamentals. So this idea that digital is not marketing, right? It's like digital marketing and marketing. No, it starts with core marketing fundamentals and really understanding what your customers need and want, getting those insights, not just for digital, but what they need and want in general, and understanding where your brand is at that point in their life cycle. So, for example, if you have a brand, your brand is new and the MOA is new, and again, the clinical data is novel, right? It's just like groundbreaking. Well, you have to recognize that, which is great, which seems to be a default in general, and recognize the clinical data, but recognize that there's probably a market based off your research that wants that needs that, and build your digital philosophy around that. But then also be honest if you're not a brand new brand, right? If you're not a baby brand and you've been around, but you're trusted and you still have great data, you still have great results, great efficacy, but start to come to terms, like you have kind of gone through that adolescent period. You've gone through brand puberty. Like that's how I think of it. And when you go through brand puberty, you can be very comfortable with the new you. It's getting a little weird, but like you'll be very comfortable with the new you. And when you are, you then you'll build both your tactical strategy and including your digital tactical strategy in a way that recognizes the new you and keeps the customer at the center of it.
And then you end up maturing and heading towards the sunset, and that's a whole different approach to
It's a
marketing
whole
and customer
different
experience.
approach. It's a whole different approach. And again, you see brands out there who are heading towards the sunset, but are still novel because there hasn't been another brand to come in and really have that data or have those, that efficacy and safety that makes, HCPs or patients switch somewhere else. And then you have some that are a year into it and already there's a competitor that has something new to offer. And you just have to if you keep the customer at the center and know how they view you, you also understand how to position yourselves. And it's the same for marketing fundamentals as it is for digital. And you just have to recognize that, because you might get to a point where they get you, they understand what you're all about. So digitally, right, it's about making resources easy for them, meaning, things like managed care and dosing and things like that, very easy, for the HCP, as opposed to just hitting them in the face with like information that they already know. And it's understanding that. And again, but it all starts too with going, like I said, fundamentals. So insights. If you need to understand what your customer needs are, because they're no different. That doesn't change just because it's digital. You still need to understand what your customer needs.
Sounds like that's a no-brainer. Sounds like it's pretty basic. Anybody can do it, but we see thousands of brands out there, both in healthcare and consumer and whatnot, that really aren't focused on that, even though it sounds simple to do. We talked a little bit about it being a relationship, a healthy relationship, but we're also talking a lot about digital here. So talk to me about the human relationship and the human element within the mix, because nowadays, is customer experience digital? Is digital customer experience? Are they the same, or is it just digital just making it easier? What's the human side of this?
So I think that's a great point, like to bring up this idea that it's separate. And this is something I'm very passionate. It's not separate. So what we have is just digital provides us more tools to enhance a customer experience. So, and I think where I made it maybe sound like obvious and simple when we're talking about the fundamentals, but it's because we, over the last few years, maybe even 10 years, have treated digital like it's not part of marketing, it's digital.
Right.
And the thing is no, it's just another amazing set of tools in your toolbox. And so what digital does is enhances and supplements how we look at the customer experience. So an example being, you can look at it as invasive, or you can look at it as wonderful. Like, we are able to reach you while you're this new phrase that people are using, which I love, in these blue jean moments, right? We're able to reach HCPs while they're sitting on their couch. We're able to, if someone's on ESPN.com, boom, we can reach them with good information. We have addressable TV. We have, connected TV. These are all tools that still supplement that customer experience. And on the flip side too, you do have the non-invasive, which is, as you said, the ability for customers to also pull when they feel that they are being bombarded, which is huge, because it can be annoying, and we want to understand their behaviors. And the one thing I hadn't talked about before, which is, I think, really big, is we need to start focusing from a digital perspective on each individual's customer's ecosystem. Meaning, how do certain disciplines, how do certain groups, segments, if you will, like to digest and absorb content? Because understanding that will actually make it a better experience for the customer. It won't just help the brand, it will help the customer, because we won't bother them when they don't want to be bothered. And we will bother them when they're okay to be bothered.
So, mentioning all these tools, what's your favorite channel right now? What do you like? What's your favorite digital tool?
What I'm excited about is all sorts of connected TV.
Wow.
I'm that's what I'm most excited about. Now, it's still fresh and new, especially from an HCP perspective, right? We're still working through that. But yeah, that's what gets me the most excited. I am a disgusting television watcher. Like, I am, like, the amount I have, like, in this office here, I have a 65-inch TV right here, and it runs stuff all day. This is the only time probably it's not running something.
Mostly soap operas, All My Children.
You're not far off, by the way.
Steve Harvey, that kind of stuff.
Definitely not far off. But it just runs it in the background. Sometimes there's volume, sometimes there's not. But it's really funny because it's all streaming, right? It's all streaming off an Apple TV. And it's given me such a firsthand look on just the beauty of targeting.
Yes.
Just the next level, like we see it on social, and social is also something that I'm really seeing rise in HCP, and really seeing some cool stuff. But like, you see amazing targeting in social, you see it in programmatic, but oh my God, in connected TV, just the things I'm getting, and they're right. I'm like, I'll look at it, even if I'm down here, and I'll look at it and go, yeah, I did search that. Yeah, I did look at that. Yeah, I love that. And the possibilities of clicking and interacting, and you see some really great stuff, like for patients where they can get information immediately, vital information.
Yes. It makes a lot more curated content than seeing another ad for Progressive, which are, somewhat entertaining sometimes, but after you see the same ad 10 times in between the program you're watching, it gets to be a bit too much. So,
Yeah.
tools. What tools do you have at Propeller that our audience could access and leverage?
It's another excellent question. So, we're really, we've always, since we started, been very focused in a digital execution and done it really, really well. And over the last 5 years, we've definitely put a premium on our digital strategy component and how valid that is. It's not just about making the widget, it's about understanding the ecosystem and where it fits, and especially when it comes to trends, right? And what we see in digital, and this is very, very, very true in digital, is, and if you're, it being in pharma, this is all too familiar, is you see all these cool tools being used everywhere else first, right?
Right.
You see TikTok and you see all these really, really cool things. And you want to understand how can they be used in healthcare? How can they be used in med device? How can they be used in pharma? And so one of the cool things as we put a premium on strategy is we publish a quarterly report about digital trends. It's called Propeller Pulse, the Edit. And this trends report takes really interesting, unique digital trends and then shows how they can be leveraged in the pharma space, right, in the healthcare space. And not only how, but then gives examples of how they either might be in the future or have been done successfully.
And that's available on the website?
That is available on our website, propellercommunicates.com. And you can go to the menu and click Pulse, and you'll see all sorts of stuff. We have our the Edit, which is the trends report. We also have some telemedicine information, and this wonderful Chatcast will be up there as well.
And I actually took a look at a very, very nice resource covering the landscape of the telehealth market as well up there just recently. So a lot of great stuff on the Propeller website. What was that website again?
Propellercommunicates.com.
Propellercommunicates.com, because it's if you just went in and looked for Propeller, you might end up somewhere else. So
that is totally true.
Check out the trends report on the Propeller Health website. And Charlie, will we be seeing you in September at the Pharma CX Summit?
Oh, yes, you will. Most definitely. I'm very excited.
Okay, looking forward to you sharing some more thoughts later on this year. So thank you for joining us, and we will see you in September.